She is friends for life, guys, gals, non-binary pals. What am I saying? Today, our topic of discussion. Where are my glasses? Maybe a little bit more serious. Oh my god, I'm just realizing I literally never posted. What was the last show called? AEW had a pay-per-view. Redemption. I never posted a Redemption review. Yeah, I forgot about that. I even had people submit their hot takes. Completely forgot about that. Okay, maybe that doesn't lend me as the most credible source, especially considering that what we're talking about today is a little bit more serious. I put the glasses on and everything. Today, we're gonna talk about what the hell's been happening with AEW Heels, right? It is a low-level mystery that was really, really bothering me. And I'm gonna say this off rip. I don't understand how a story like this is suppressed for so long. I don't understand how there are so many platforms, aggregators, and folks who make their whole living, pay their rent based off pro wrestling news. This was a story of women who there's money involved. There's, a lack of services being rendered, allegedly. AEW, don't sue me. You know how fucking whack that would be? You know how whack that would be? Don't sue me. But and there's nobody covering it. Shout out to Sam. Sam is an actual journalist. So that brings me to my second disclaimer in that I am not, right? I am not a journalist. Have I ever claimed to be? Only in jest, right? I'm not a journalist. What I am is nosy with a strong sense of justice, and that's unfortunately what this case required. So, what the hell's been happening with Heels? What is Heels? What was it even beneficial to begin with? What happened in the last couple months? What happened a couple days ago? Strap in, sister, because it is story time. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna recount it to you just like this, just like we talking casually. But it is a topic that genuinely upsets me because how the did you pay your rent based off wrestling stories? Women are telling you there's a story here and nobody wants to pick it up. Whatever. So that's what we're gonna do here at Black Girl Wrestling, okay? Typically it's a whole lot of bullshit on here. And there's still going to be a little bit, but for the most part, I'm going to be telling you about the stories that I heard from lots and lots of women, lots and lots of Heels members. And yeah, I did my research. So I'm not a journalist, but I am a talker. And I spoke to the girls. Again, added caveat, if I say girls or women as an overarching term, I apologize because there are actually lots of non-binary members of Heels. So I'm working that out of my vocabulary, but just a disclaimer. And my final disclaimer. In the interest of not being sued by All Elite Wrestling, it is very important to note, every single person that I spoke to was a member of Heels, was not a representative of AEW, was not a member of AEW staff in any way, shape, or form, and was not like a Heels representative. So everything that I'm saying, you could make the argument that it's one-sided and that, the company might have a different view or an explanation as to why things happened. I'm just generally on the side of I'm with the girls over the corporation. And I think when you hear what has been happening, you might be too. But with the disclaimer of, AEW could come out and dispute these things and say that that's not fact, these are all opinion-based. That's fine. That's fine. I didn't talk to them. I don't know. They won't speak to me. That's for damn sure. AEW, PR, and I aren't exactly tight. I would say we do this fun little game where I request something and they say, who are you? So I didn't talk to them and they didn't talk to me. So things could be one-sided, but if you're watching this, I would suggest that you consider, hey, am I on the side of this big ass company who doesn't care if I live or die? Or these women who have nothing to gain by lying? Why would they lie about this? And yes. So with that being said, What happened? First off, what's heels? Because some of you guys may not even know. Unfortunately, despite my best goddamn efforts, most of my audience is still male. You may not even know what heels is. So, straight from the press release in 2020, I have physical notes, guys. Well, that doesn't look like I did anything because there's only half that page filled. This page is full. Well, kind of. There's more. I got notes, okay? But I also have notes on my phone. So if things seem a little bit disjointed, it's because they're a little bit disjointed. Are you a cop? No. What is heels? This is straight from the press release from 2020. Obviously a little bit of outdated information, but I wanted to go straight to the source. AEW Heels is a, quote, female fight. I can read. AEW Heels is a, quote, female-focused wrestling community led and founded by AEW Chief Brand Officer Brandi Rhodes at its time that it was formed in 2020. A new community for females who love wrestling, the Female Forward movement, led by Brandi Rhodes and stars of the AEW Women's Division, is designed to celebrate and inspire our female fans around the world. Be who you are and come as you are, because we're all going to come together to change the world. Beautiful, beautiful, right? So what does it mean to be a heel, right? AEW Heels community membership includes, again, per the All Elite Wrestling website, includes access to exclusive AEW Heels events and unprecedented access to AEW talent. Server online, AEW Heels community space where fans can interact, connect, learn, and thrive together through our shared, can't read my own handwriting, passions for professional wrestling. Pre-sale codes for all live events, as well as exclusive seating options next to other community members. You are a growing digital content library, including video and photos from previous Heels events. And so it was intentionally a social community. It had the focus, as we've said, of being for women. I think we all are very much of the knowledge that professional wrestling and its fandom, because it is a fandom, is primarily male. And as a result, a lot of times the way that women are spoken to, addressed, and, treated in this space, absolutely ridiculous and abhorrent. It's terrible. It's terrible. Take my word for it. So, a lot of people were really excited about this idea. This is unique. It's the first of its kind. And so you had folks who signed up very quickly from the outset, and I will be telling some of their stories today. And then you had folks who were kind of skeptical, but eventually, found their way into being a membership. What is important to note is that Heels is not free. Well, it is now. But don't get ahead of yourself. Heels, up until last week, has never been free. There is a subscription charge annually, and it is $49 in order to be a part of the Heels community. So that, to me, is what makes it video worthy. If this were something that, was just an added benefit, if this were something that were just, a nice little perk to have, it would be one thing. That's not what it is anymore. This is business. People are giving you money. People are giving you money. People are giving you money. And that upsets me. Alas, my little 2 cents, right? I'm not a Heels member. I never have been. And that's for a couple of reasons. One, because just generally speaking, this is not about AEW, not about Heels. Generally speaking, I find it a little bit, I'm not interested in paying for community. I think at some point, I understand the thought process, but I think I was trying to, with Black Girl Wrestling and myself, to build it authentically. And there's plenty of authenticity in Heels. I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying, I think that giving a company money so that you don't get harassed, I just don't love the business model. Right? Now, I do think that it has its benefits. I'm not going to sit up here and say that I'm anti-Heels. I was never that. I've always been super supportive. I know a lot of folks find community in it and find value in it, and I'm going to be sharing their stories today. But that's why decided not to join. With the added thought of a lot of times spaces like these struggle in their diversity. I don't have the racial makeup numbers of AEW Heels. I'm sorry, I wasn't able to get those. Again, this isn't exactly made in conjunction with AEW or with Heels. But I that was a concern of mine and a reason why I said, I don't really feel the need to give you money. Now, again, that's not everybody's experience and that's not everybody's truth. That's just, I'm letting you know that this whole situation, I'm outside looking in, and I got interested because I wanted to get more eyes on this, right? And because I care about the women who were not getting their money's worth for months. Allegedly, do not sue me, please. So yes, so first I'm going to tell you a couple of stories about Heels when it first formed. And again, I've got some on paper, I've got some on my phone. Story time, baby. All of these women and folks, I'm not going to drop their because I told them that everything they said to me would be shared, but anonymized. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm not a journalist, I'm a regular person with integrity. So that's what it's going to be. First testimonial. The experience when I joined was honestly super welcoming. The people there were always happy to hear from you, even if you floated in and out of the group. It was a pretty chill microcosm in the weird world of wrestling fandom. Totally understand it. Second testimonial. I only signed up in November at Full Gear, so half of my time was experiencing Heels, and half of it, whatever limbo going on right now. As soon as I joined, the members were all super welcoming and interacted all throughout the day. Aubrey was the most active AEW facing member, and she posted multiple times a week about meetups before the next shows, shared codes for buying tickets, so if any of us were going alone, we could attend with other Heels. I worked on the street team at both Hammerstein shows, and I got to hang out with some of the members, and then we sat together for the show. It was super fun to meet somewhat local people who all have similar interests. I even got a friend of mine who lives in another state a membership so she could join. The monthly calls were awesome and super special. Third testimonial. When I first joined, there was so much participation from both the AEW community and the fans themselves. It focused more on building each other up and helping everyone feel safe in a place where, even to this day, women don't exactly feel safe at wrestling shows. It even helped me build friendships I keep to this day. Someone else. I was attracted to Heels because I love wrestling. During the pandemic, I felt alone, so having an online community which also liked wrestling and didn't ask me trivia questions on it at the drop of a hat was appealing. I've been a wrestling fan for 20 plus years, but what I like most is not necessarily the mainstream. Someone else. When I learned about AEW and how they strived to make their company more inclusive and humane, I was sold on them before the company officially launched. The excitement only grew when I heard about Brandy Rhodes' new initiative of AEW Heels. By this time, I had become disabled and I was unable to work. Seeing a bit of Brandy's vision for the community was a bit intimidating to me. I am not a particularly girly girl and I'm also child-free. In 2022, I posted in October on Twitter about whether someone with my challenges and lifestyle would be welcomed. Not only were both women excited about the possibility of me joining, but Aubrey Edwards sent back a very heartfelt reply. I took the risk, and ahead of my birthday, I had no way of knowing that only 4 days later, I would become mysteriously ill, a condition I still have to this day. I very publicly acknowledge that AEW Heels is one of the main lifelines, not only helps me cope with so many different emotions, but has probably helped ensure my relationship stayed as strong as well. Over nearly 4 years, AEW Heels has been essential to my self-care. At a time when I can't read my own handwriting, I'm so sorry. At a time when I have been fairly socially isolated, AEW Heels has given me a voice, but also the friends and a purpose. When I first joined Heels, I was extremely active. Someone else. When I first joined Heels, it was extremely active. That was purely based on the work of Aubrey Edwards and Amanda Hugh. They built the whole culture and experience. I also felt like there was a ton of evolving elements, and the experience became even more than what I initially thought. The folks who were members of Heels were enjoying being members of Heels. That is like super important for me to relay. Like, it was serving its intended purpose. Now, you remember saying, Danielle or Danny, that's great. That's perfect. What happened? Fantastic question. That's why we're here today. In early May, again, so this I'm reading from a public thread on Blue Sky, from Cholula Con Amor on Blue Sky, which is what kind of started to kickstart a lot of the conversation. So I want to give credit where credit is due. I don't think they mind being non-anonymous because it's on their public profile, but whatever. If they do, take the video down. So in early May, the two program runners at the time announced to the group that with heavy hearts, they were stepping down from running Heels. Losing one program leader was a surprise, but both in rapid succession was a shock. 2 days later, May 5th, a representative from AEW informed us, 1, Heels was not going anywhere, and 2, sit tight for further updates, which we did for 7 weeks. During those 7 weeks, most of the major perks, including the monthly virtual calls and street teams, were paused with no scheduled date for them to resume. The main services that remain active for members even today, July 14th at this time, are the circle message boards and live event presale codes. Now, I think it's outlandish, first and foremost, that these women had to go 8 weeks without answers in terms of what was going on with a service that they were paying for. Like, you've already you pay for the year with Heels, right? So AEW just not having programming for you for 3 months is ridiculous. What's even more ridiculous was the lack of communication in terms of getting out the messaging. What the hell was happening? Like, so I will also be reading to you the communications that were issued to these women in place of actual programming. So this is Linda from AEW. And she says, as a moderator, to introduce herself on May 5th. Hello, Heels members. I know many of you have questions, so I wanted to start by properly introducing myself. My name is Linda, and I'm the VP of Brand Marketing at AEW. Guys, me reading this, I'm never going to get another interview. They didn't give them to me before, but now I'm never going to get one. Whatever. The Heels program falls under my team in our office structure. While I've supported Heels from the brand side for a few years behind the scenes, many of you don't know me. So hello. I want you to know that I genuinely appreciate this community and what you've built together under Aubrey's incredible and very organized, might I add, leadership, along with Amanda's great support. You are amongst our most loyal fans, and while I don't want to be completely cliche, that is important to us. The friendships you all have developed that extend beyond of the time. The friendships you all have developed that extend beyond of the time that you have shared, that you share with us at AEW events are even more special. To answer a question that someone asked, no, Heels is not going away. With the recent changes, it felt like a natural moment to hit pause and really think about the Heels program. Not just to maintain it, but to think through the best way to provide the space for all of you, give you the environment to continue to build those relationships, but also still offer the things you love and that we can bring to you. For those of you who have been with us for the long haul, past opportunities to review the program have brought about smaller but important changes, like our user member surveys, member of the month highlights, street team, and member moderators. It's been great to see several of you share your thoughts and opinions on the platform over the past few days, because in the end, Heels is a place and space for all of you. There's more. Do you want me to read it all? Should I read it all? I mean, I can't do a tell-all and not read it all, but it's lengthy. So here's what she says. Our goal is to create a member-led board for Heels. The board will have up to 7 seats and will take 1 board member spot for someone on the AEW staff. That will be someone from my team who can support needs, offerings, and initiatives from the AEW side. The overall board will be the governing voice of Heels, continuing to build this community for all of you. My team is growing, so more to come on the AEW staff resource on the board. But you'll all have a chance to vote on the other board member seats. With the support of the board, we'll still provide you with the things that you signed up for, such as pre-sale codes, virtual meetups, special BTS or talent opportunities, and more. In the meantime, while we are working on the evolution of the program and the changes, I'd love to hear from you. What matters most to you about this community? What has been worth your time? If you're comfortable, share your thoughts in this thread or send a survey soon, so that everyone has a chance to weigh in. Either way, your input will shape where this goes and what we offer to you. Lastly, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge and say thank you to our wonderful member moderators, Sarah, Francis, and Kimberly, for the time you've given to this community and your efforts to support wherever you can. You're entrusted to keep the conversations positive and maintain the safe space that everyone enjoys. Thank you for your contributions to this group. Also, thank you to anyone who has ever volunteered for the street team, attended one of the meetups, virtual or in person, participated in a Heels programmed activity, or has even just provided your opinion when we've asked. All of that is so helpful in ways that you don't always hear about. And lastly, a huge thank you to Aubrey and Amanda for leading the ship on all these things and this program during their tenure. It's never easy with our travel and other job and daily responsibilities, but they always did it with a smile and made sure that they were thinking about how best to serve everyone every step of the way. This is just the beginning of the conversation, so there's more to come. Reach out if you have any questions, DM if you prefer it to be private. Thank you for your love of AEW and for being part of the Heels community. Now, that's all well and good. That's genuinely a positive response to, some transitional changes. Now, we don't know, right, like what the actual intention is behind here. And I hate to be like, oh, brands are all bad. But brands are all bad. So whatever. But that is a very, in my opinion, cohesive, coherent response that took place on May 5th. Right. So, then, on July 1st, so first of all, to have such a big gap between the first communication and the next communication, a little bit unsettling, especially considering these women paid for 12 months worth of services. 12 months! You don't get to give me 9 months worth of stuff and then say, that's fine. It's not though, it's not. And I take issue with this for so many reasons, but one of them being because you would never do this to men because they would raise an absolute fuss. You would never, because it would be on the front page of everything forever. But you thought that this would be fine because it's just the women's community. It's just the girls. The girls who are paying customers, goddammit. But again, whatever. So in that time, right, you had a lot of women who were frustrated, who were upset, who were, the lack of communication really stood out as something as I talked to these women of well, what, are you not going to tell us anything about what's going on with these, with these supposed changes on your team? You're not communicating to your paying customers. Glasses back on. Linda comes back, July 1. Hello, ladies of Heels. Thanks for taking the time to read this message and for allowing me to respond to all of your comments and questions and DMs. I'll start by referring to a post and update that I shared on May 5th here. Everything in this post was very true, not just in complimenting what Heels is as a collective of all of you, but also in our commitment to continue to support and provide what you value most in the program, paired with the message of, quote, my team is growing and there's more to come. Between that day and my next post, I received a lot of messages, some people introducing themselves, some with feedback and thoughts, some with questions, but mostly regular requests for individual updates. I got a lot of questions about when the changes would take effect and several reminding that their renewal was approaching and they wanted to make it a very informed decision. Very fair asks, but about things that we were not ready to roll out yet. I got a lot of questions about when the changes would take effect, and several reminding that their renewal was approaching and they wanted to make an informed decision. Very fair asks, but about things that we were not ready to roll out yet. I'm giving you money. I'm trying to decide whether or not I'm going to give you money again. And you're saying, I can't tell you anything. What? What? Now, again, that is with the added, like, we know, or maybe you don't know. In the most recent update, they take away the paid feature of Heels, which is another conversation starter of whether or not they should do that, whether or not they, we'll talk about that. But like, if my membership is about to renew and you're saying, just can't tell you anything yet, why would I give you more money? And what happens to the girls who just renewed their membership and now you're offering it for free? What the hell? And you had an opportunity to say, to give an explanation, and you're saying, we weren't ready to talk about that yet. Then why are you talking to me? Why are you talking to me? If you don't have an answer, again, and I say me, but not me. I'm putting myself in the shoes of someone who is paying for a Heels membership, right? On June 19th, in a larger response to all the questions I have been receiving, I made a post to say that at the moment there aren't any new updates just yet, but if anyone feels uncomfortable by this temporary pause in the program, that understandably I'll offer a chance to correct that with a refund. Without rehashing, I understand how stressful that was for several of you and why some of you had an upset reaction to that. Okay, so let me add the caveat of there was a communication on June 19th. I didn't get that screenshot, but she recounts it for us, and she says that, made a post saying that there weren't any new updates. So I don't think we missed a whole lot. I don't think there was a whole lot to miss. What the hell? I don't mean to laugh, but like, you would never say this to men. There were some constructive comments and feedback, which were always appreciated, but also some of the comments got negative really fast too. That created a lot of confusion because not every member here comes to the table with the exact same perspective. There are people who have been here for the long haul and some who have just joined, and some of you are here for the camaraderie, some of you are here for the perks, and a lot of you are here for both. Lots of different scenarios. I received many messages with so many different opinions, including some letting me know that the loudest voices currently on the platform don't convey their individual thoughts or the thoughts of everyone. All of these perspectives are important to know and have. During that time, I also made the decision that I wanted to attempt to bring back the return of the street team for Forbidden Door. I didn't want to actively push Heels membership because of this pause phase that we were in. This upset some of you who were reminding that the free ticket perk is not the only reason why they might be here and that you're here for the community and camaraderie. But I'd like to again remind the group that everyone is here for different reasons and backgrounds. And so not everything we'll do will always perfectly benefit everyone. However, throughout the collective year, hopefully everyone can find as much value in what we're doing and to feel fulfilled by what we offer. I also got some feedback on how I gave away the free tickets, with some of you being upset about the timing/method. Without going into more details about why it was run that way, I'll just say, noted, your comments were heard. The three lovely ladies that won were a pleasure to meet, and I'm glad to pass on such a special opportunity to each of them. And likewise, I hope to be able to do the same for more of you in the future. Where does that put us today? I'm still in the process of growing my team, and the person I am assigning to continue to support this program regularly with the forward-going plans we have. We are in some final stages of that piece, but I do not have a firm update yet. With all due respect, I do not owe details of that to you. What kind of answer is that? Like, there's more, but like, I spoke to several women who took offense to that tone. You have paying customers who are upset that they're not actively receiving the product that they're paying for. And your response, for all dignified that it is, also includes the line, I don't owe you any details of that. There's no way that's the final draft that you want to send out. And I don't know this lady. I'm not pretending to, and I'm not pretending to know everything when it comes to branding or represent. I'm not. That's not my forte. What I am saying is I understand how lots of women, especially the ones that I spoke to, read that message and said, oh, that's an interesting line to include in there. But whatever. She goes on to say, what I do owe you is an update on how we'll resume additional. It's the ghost of Chris Jericho. He's alive. I don't know why I said that. How soon we'll resume additional membership perks and benefits. I can promise that I'm keeping track of the timing on this pause, even more than you are. I plan to, quote, make good on what's been missed for those of you willing to stay through this period of construction. By August, we will resume the virtual meetups with details on what will make up the 3 missed ones from May, June, July. Also in August, All In is our largest show of the year, so there will be some special membership perks / giveaways offered to our friends on both sides of the pond. To reiterate, here's what a 1-year membership to Heels gives you. Access to the message board platform, fee-based to maintain and preserve a secure, safe space online. Remember that! Oh my god. Remember that. Pre-sale codes and early access opportunities to AEW live events, 12 organized AEW virtual meetups, periodic special opportunities annually, which can include street team / volunteer, first chance to buy special AEW events, buy 4 special AEW events, free tickets and meetaways and meet and greet giveaways. If there's something missing from this list that you have questions about, I'm open to hearing from you. Heels is very much the collection of all your voices and giving you a place to share your passion and fandom with each other. AEW was born out of a love of professional wrestling, and feeding that by making it more accessible is part of the ethos of what we do. We love your passion for our brand, and we want to give you a safe place and space to express it. Contrary to some comments, it's not a revenue stream. It's not something we're trying to take away, and the goal is to fuel your passion and give you more of what you love. It's a carved out space for our best fans. Several of you have asked for a town hall. I am happy to oblige, but would rather do so to introduce the new staff Face of Heels to you at a future date. I'm happy for your thoughts if you feel like it would be beneficial before that time. Lastly, please be mindful of 2 things. First, that I do have other many responsibilities in my role, as well as I can't get back to everyone immediately in both comments and DMs. Again, tone is something that a lot of these women took issue with. Second, we do have community guidelines that everyone should be following. I don't mind taking some heat during a period of confusion, but let's get ourselves back to a positive place and tone with all members across the platform. Thank you for special attention so that the community feels welcoming to everyone. In closing, it's Wednesday and you know what that means. Linda. Now, to be fair to AEW, it's AEW, right? They do issue a communication at the beginning of August that does kind of address a lot of these concerns. Some of the problems, though, still persist. Nevertheless, the issues persist. So I also want to talk to you about what has been happening, right? And how these girls have been feeling. Because I feel like that's what's been lost in this. We can talk about whether or not the $50 a month means anything to AEW. But what she's saying, right? In that statement, what I'm reading at least, I won't say what she's saying, what I'm reading. AEW, they're saying it's not just a revenue stream for us. The $50 is a protective layer to keep the community what it is. So if it's not a revenue stream, donate it. If it's not a revenue stream, use that money directly to host community events. Because you can't, you are making money off of it. I understand what you're saying, that the purpose of it is, it's kind of dual purpose, but it's not like you're still pocketing the money. Like, it is a revenue stream. So don't do that. So a lot of folks struggled with the lack of transparency. In one person saying, that when Aubrey stepped down due to her being more involved with the wrestling ref side of things, which makes sense, but Amanda stepped down too, and we really didn't hear anything. And really was not told anything about what to expect next. And quote, a lot of us have no idea what's happening. There's some other mods in there, but from what I recall, it's still a waiting game at the time. So again, I think that was a general sentiment, right? In someone else stated. I don't think the communication from her, meaning Linda, was very sufficient and effective. I understand the position she was put in, and we as members are not entitled to know everything, but there's been very little movement since her post from July 1st, from at least what I've seen. And then they also linked this. So I had someone else say, my experience was great up until about a year ago. I think things that were promised, like codes for pre-sale ticks or specific wrestling sections, were promised at the beginning but not delivered. As the group started to grow, I found myself getting lost in the group message board because I felt alone. Being on the spectrum, it's difficult to know my place, and I felt like I didn't have one, or I wasn't missed if I missed a Zoom call. Communication used to be frequent. They switched to a more message board format, so if you didn't check in, it was lacking. There would be meetups before pay-per-views at inaccessible times, especially if you're visiting a city and limited to public transport. The meetup at All Out 2021 was so great, so my expectations for 2022 weren't met because it was so disorganized. I felt disappointed because I had so many opportunities to be great, but it fell so flat. Someone else said to me, let me see if I can read. I'm also trying to be so respectful of everyone's privacy and take out any details that might help you identify these folks. But yeah, so it all started to slow down around March. There was no update on another monthly call, no discussion about meetups for Double or Nothing, and people could tell something was up. Since then, Aubrey and Amanda stepped down and haven't really been anywhere near as active or sharing any info. So then a lot of members started posting questions about what was going on and what everyone could do if Heels was going to end. Finally, the marketing director, Linda, posted and basically said Heels would continue, but not a whole lot else. Since then, there hasn't really been anything from the company side. It's mostly just the remaining members posting and talking, but it's been pretty silent elsewhere. I know a lot of people are not renewing their membership due to a lack of communication and activity from the AEW side. It's really unfortunate because a lot of those members have been Heels for years and have made real connections. I haven't been active at all and occasionally go in to repost, but nowhere near as often as I was in the beginning. Wrestling is such a male-dominated sport, and it was really cool to have a safe space for all of us to talk about wrestling and personal lives and not have to deal with the rest of the IWC. And I hate what it feels like we're being pushed out of this space too. So again, the common theme is just the lack of transparency. The common theme is just the women who were sitting there and saying it feels like it's not a priority to AEW. And I completely understand what they're saying. So yeah, someone else said, now it feels as if we've been forced to fend for ourselves. Heels made it possible for us to come together, but when Aubrey and Amanda left, it felt like those at AEW have left the rest of us in the past. We looked to Heels as a way to build community, but now it feels like we've been lied to. And to make it worse, some of us were gifted the subscription. $50 for the year may seem cheap, but some of us can't afford that. So if you can't give us what we were promised, why are we still being forced to pay? Hello. Like, come on. And especially the lack of communication when folks are telling you, hey, my renewal date's about to come up. $50 is a lot of money. When I asked, what this person said, when I asked this person what their biggest frustration was with the way it's been handled, they said, for me, it has to be the lack of communication from anyone in management. Because really, for the last few months, there's been absolutely nothing up until late May where they pretty much said, hey, we're still trying to figure things out for Heels, and tried to do a very last minute giveaway for Double or Nothing, and it just feels like no one in AEW cares about what happens with Heels. It's really, it genuinely upsets me so much because if these were men, these stories and these sentiments would have been covered since May. And for some reason, like, for some reason, nobody's talking about this except the members themselves. That's bullshit. How you make your whole fucking coin off of wrestling and you not covering when women are saying, we're not getting what we fucking paid for? I know I keep saying it, but it's irritating to me. It's irritating to me. Oh my God. When asked about the current state of Heels, this person said the current state of it feels disappointing. When we were told that leadership was being changed in April, we were hoping that we would be kept in the loop as to who would replace the two who ran it. I get that there are things that aren't able to be known for proprietary reasons and all that, but we should at least know where our community stands, so it feels like there's an air of uncertainty. I'm telling you, I spoke to dozens of girls, and it's all different variations of the same sentiment. Everybody's got different stories of how they came to Heels, but they're all pretty much saying things were great. The two people who were leading it stepped down, and it became a non-priority to AEW despite their 1 or 2 check-ins over the course of 3 months to paying customers. And then we're kind of snippy in tone at times. So I asked a lot of these women if they could issue a message to AEW leadership, what would it be? I would like to say to whoever takes over, talk with the people there. Find out what the culture is like off top. To come in and not know anything about it and trying to institute sweeping changes is not a good idea. Get to know the group and talk to us about our expectations in the group and how we can all work on that together. The uncertainty feels like being put on a long hold with customer service with no end in sight. I think that really, really sums things up. They've been on hold, but you already paid for the product. And maybe, I don't know, maybe y'all gonna watch this and you're gonna be like, Danielle, you're kind of tweaking. And maybe I am. But when folks are saying that they were attracted to join because they saw the creation of Heels as a fabulous opportunity to meet and connect with fellow femme wrestling fans, to build a community where experiences and opinions matter, and this is what they're getting. The message that they said, this person said, from day one, folks like me, to those who have less than a year in the organization, everyone had a different reason for joining, but we all share one thing: a love for the sport of pro wrestling. The enthusiasm shown by Heels radiates out to others, whether it's partners, family members, friends, or even rideshare drivers. I like to talk on my rides. I am personally always trying to recruit folks who tell me they currently or used to watch wrestling to give AEW a shot. I personally spent thousands over the years between merch, show tickets, and travel to pay-per-views and weekly shows, and I probably wouldn't have as strong of a connection to AEW or even some of my best friends without Heels. I'll also add that the presence of a femme-focused fan group is a differentiator for AEW as a brand, and should be an absolute shame for Heels to go under due to whatever is happening on the corporate side. There are so many of us who care very deeply about Heels. We've put in a lot of work over the past few weeks to demonstrate that care and what Heels, both as an org and individually, bring to the AEW fandom. In my opinion, they'd be wise to tap in. Hello. And I asked point blank, has AEW given you an outlet to ask any questions or get any answers about this? And the response, not particularly. Linda, AEW's VP of Marketing, has made a handful of posts on the member site regarding the transition, but there hasn't been much in terms of an official two-way conversation between members and AEW leadership. I'd love to facilitate that, said this person. How hard is it to put together a little Q&A sheet, an FAQ sheet? How hard is it to centralize that? You're saying people are sending you DMs. Answer the questions that people are asking them, because you don't have to answer every DM if you're getting the same question a million times over. I just don't understand that logic. And I'm going to put together, I'm going to write about this as well, but I just felt the need to talk about it because I feel like my frustration on behalf of these women won't be felt as much through written word as it can be through spoken word. So I wanted to talk about this. I think what lives in my head more than anything is, you know, the idea that you're saying it's not about a revenue stream. And that's fair. You're saying it's a fee-based service so that we can keep our community safe, so that we can keep it, centralized and focused on the folks that we, that the group was designed for. But then, I get an update. Friday, July 31st, the AEW is getting rid of the annual fee, bringing back all of the amenities we had before and all around, so everything seems to be going well. So, what was said, again, another screenshot, because I don't half-ass things. I've got it all. Pre-sale codes will be available via the platform. Monthly Zoom/video meetups will resume this month, but will be facilitated by the AEW PR team. But, of course, close personal friends of the channel, the AEW PR team. Since we missed 3 of the meetups this summer during the transition, and so many of you have been very kind and patient while we finalize the program updates, I'd like to give every current member a certificate for 2 tickets to an upcoming Dynamite or Collision, only good for up to 1 year. Exclusions apply. That's a nice gesture. That's great. We will get the certificates out to you by next week, along with details for redemption. I know Street Team /was very important to all of you, just for the chance to spend time with each other and interface with other fans. But we do have volunteer opportunities at any AEW events /special events. We will make it a priority to ask Heel members to participate. Additionally, if the board wants to facilitate and activate the Heel Street Team to solicit members at some of our shows, we will help to support that by providing the space on the concourse. I'm sure you have questions, but yeah. So that was the most recent update that was issued, along with the added message that they would be doing away with the member fee, the $50 member fee, because some folks had relayed that it was a barrier to entry. But you're saying that your philosophy was that the $50 member fee was important because you wanted it to be a barrier of entry to keep certain folks out. So I understand maybe that you're saying based on member feedback that's what I'm going to be doing. What it sounded like to me and to a lot of folks and Heel members was that this is going to kind of turn into an unmoderated platform because there will be no barrier to entry. I see both sides of it, and if I was AEW, I don't envy trying to make that decision because, I mean, you could say, yeah, we want this to be more accessible to the women, but as a result, you can't really keep out the trolls. I see both sides of it. Again, I think that what folks value most out of Heels from the stories that I gathered and I shared with you today is that sense of community, camaraderie. The perks are great, and they should have been getting these perks even if you were going through transitions. It's not hard to have somebody organize these perks in advance. Like, well, let me say it's not hard. Like, I'm sure it is a lot of work, and I commend everyone who has been working on it. I think 3 months without any programming to people who are paying for programming, you could have somebody put something together. I think you could do that. But it's not just that. Folks are paying for the community, the camaraderie, and what it feels like to me is you're saying, I'm taking my hands off of it. I'm not going to moderate it. Whatever. You guys wanted to make this big fuss, so whatever. Anybody could join, anybody, whatever. And so there are a lot of folks who expressed to me that they feel like this is a phasing out of Heels, and that AEW is going to try to, take less and less ownership of it until they say, actually, it's independent of AEW. That's what people fear is happening. I definitely hear that from a lot of the members that I spoke to. And I'll give AEW credit where credit is due. It sounds like they're doing their best to kind of retroactively, make up for a lot of their mishaps. I think it is an organizational nightmare. I think it is something that, despite the words that are being issued on behalf of AEW, does not feel like it was a priority for months, because if it was, these women wouldn't have waited all summer for this. And I think it deserved to be a priority. One, because these women were paying for a service, and two, because, you know, you can't claim the rewards and the benefits of being a company that embraces all and then leave communities like Heels high and dry. And what about the girls who just renewed? I spent the $50 for something you're not charging for anymore. What the hell? An organizational nightmare from top to bottom. It was grossly mishandled, in my opinion. Now, with that being said, I don't have all the perfect answers, the perfect solutions as to what AEW should have done instead. But what they could have at least done was communicated more. You could have at least communicated more. You could have said, you could have offered a lot more updates as to what was happening. You could have put an FAQ and you could have pinned it to the top of the message board. But saying, I don't know you any details, you see how maybe that's not going to go over too well? Like, come on. But I'm the Lorax. I speak for the trees, and that's all I can do. If you are a Heels member, I'm still in the process of writing my story, so let me know how you feel about the way AEW is trying to go about rectifying this. Is it enough for you? Is it, does it tick all the boxes for you? Because I don't want to speak on behalf of Heel members if they're like, yeah, this is perfect. This is exactly what we wanted. But okay, that's all I have for you. Love you, bye.